background. Poll question. Get my tablet. Can't get to my website. Okay. Is it going? All right. Okay, let's get a little couple guiding principles, housekeeping things in place before we get started. This is a learning live. Go ahead and gather some note-taking materials so that you can take copious notes, digital, physical, virtual, however you need to take notes. Go ahead and gather those materials at this time. Additionally, you will need a second device as we will be watching a video from the YouTube channel, and you need to be able to follow along on the website for the Principles of Real Leadership. For the people who attend regularly, go ahead and go to the website, and I just cleared out of the website, and you're going to go to the turnarounddoctor.com, and you're going to go to the 74 Principles of Real Leadership tab so that you can follow along. Page or tab, depending on your age, one of those will make sense to you. So note-taking materials, the turnarounddoctor.com, and then you will go to the 74 Principles of Real Leadership. And I am now there as well. My tablet is, there we go. All right. Good morning. I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. How did we get here? We got here through neurogenesis, creating new neurons that are just going ding, 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 all in your brain. Those neurons turn into neural pathways, and those neural pathways are combined with the 74 principles of real leadership and the theory of personal accountability, and we end up with neuropability. That is your brain's ability to wire itself to use the 74 principles of real leadership to create unlimited neural pathways for you to hold yourself personally accountable day in and day out so that you can become your best. And how do we do that? We use this amazing frontal lobe where the executive function of your brain is located. That's your working memory, your cognitive flexibility, and your inhibition control. All of those things are designed for you to become the baddest mofo walking the face of the planet Earth so I can have some peers. Without further ado, let's use the CEO, which is the executive function of your brain. Lead by example, one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Good morning, Regina, as I have been reviewing all of the principles of real leadership, I did it from real and pink perspective, and now I'm dialing it down individually. I'm also using the definition of each individual word so that you understand it in its totality. Today, we will be discussing lead by example. Let me start with the word lead. Lead, the definition is this, or the one that I will be using today. The initiative in an action, an example for others to follow. The initiative in an action, the example for others to follow. The next definition is the word by, B-Y, not B-Y-E, but by. And it means to identify the agent performing an action. Identify the agent performing an action. And then number 3 is an example. Be illustrated or exemplified. Be illustrated or exemplified. We had a statement, I think it was in corporate America, that it was walk the walk, don't talk the walk. And it was either corporate America or Frito-Lay. I think it was the Army or corporate America. So you walk the walk, you don't talk the walk. So talk the walk is this: show up on time, be organized, and have meetings that are on time and end on time. That's talk the walk. And then you show up late, you're disorganized, meeting start when it wants to, and meeting ends when it wants to. That's talk the walk. But walk the walk says show up on time. I'm the first person in the meeting room. I'm organized, and the meeting starts on time and the meeting ends on time. That's actually walking the walk. We have a lot of people in positions of power and authority locally, nationally, and internationally that talk the walk. It sounds good, but it actually isn't good. They are not leading by example. They are not setting the example by which everybody else can go, oh, that's what a leader looks like. Oh, this is how I should be behaving. This is what I need to do. This is what excellence looks like. That is not taking place right now globally. And so when you hear lead by example, it just sounds like rhetoric. Yeah, okay, whatevs, man. You're not going to do it. You're not going to keep your word. You're not going to do the things that you said you're going to do. You're going to wake up and be unaccountable and do whatever the hell you want to do and then say, well, I meant to do that. Okay? I meant to do that. No, you didn't. Leading by example means that you are the example by which excellence is measured, and people can look up and go, okay, I can take those characteristics away, and I too can incorporate or inculcate those behaviors and characteristics into my life. So the question is, why is it difficult to lead by example? I'm glad you asked, Dr. Donna. Here's why it's difficult to lead by example. And if anybody is wondering why I define the real leadership principle and then I go straight into why it's not happening, is because there are 6.8 billion unaccountable adults in the world. So we wake up every day to negativity bias and cognitive confirmation bias, conformity bias, superiority complex, inferiority complex, ageism, sexism, racism, capitalisms, and all the isms. And so I start there because that is where the problem is. And if you're going to have a solution, you have to identify the root cause of why something isn't taking place. That is why I start with the why isn't. Good morning, Lola. Why isn't it working? Why aren't people leading by example? Now, to get back to what I was saying, is that why is it difficult to lead by example? Number one, people don't see themselves as a leader. People don't see themselves as a leader. That person is in charge. That person has a title. That person is the judge, the cop, the lawyer, the doctor, the pastor, the teacher, the principal, the administrator, the manager, the director, the senior VP of blah, 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 the board, the chairman of the board, the chairperson of the board. They are the parent. I am the child. People don't see themselves as leaders. So you can't lead by example if you don't recognize that you are the CEO of Me Incorporated. And we haven't done this in a minute, so go ahead, touch your chest if you're not driving, and go ahead and say, I am the CEO of Me Incorporated. Me. I'm is the CEO of Me Incorporated. So I am leading, at a minimum, my own life. I'm in charge of me. I am, because everybody on this live is 18 and above, so I am in charge of me. That's the number one problem. The number one problem. And don't believe me, go ahead and do your own survey today as you interact with people physically or online. Ask them, are they a leader? And they will say, no, I don't, I'm just an employee. First thing they're going to do is go to the job. They're not even going to make the connection at home. They might say, no, my wife runs everything at the house, or my husband, my spouse, my significant other runs everything at the house. No, I'm not. But the first thing they're going to do is go to the job. Not going to register if you just say, hey, are you a leader? I ain't in charge of nothing. No, I would never. They asked me to be a manager at the job, and I told them, no, I didn't want that headache. Good morning, Sabrina. No, I didn't want that headache. So I told them, no, go pick somebody else. Get somebody else, in my New York voice. So that is the number one issue why people can't lead by example, because they don't see themselves as a leader. The second one is others don't see you as a leader that they want to follow. So even if you think that you are a leader, everybody else is like, where did they say they was going? Over the cliff? I'm good. I'm good, because you don't have a command presence, and you meaning plural, not singularly. So if you don't possess a command presence, nobody is following you. Nobody's like, yep, I'm with charge up the hill. I'm about to listen to everything that they said. Yeah, they're so smart. No. So you don't feel like you're a leader. People don't see you as a leader. How are you going to lead by example? It's not going to happen. And then finally, it's not clear or defined that the example is what are we following? What is it exactly, the example that the person is setting? Where are we going? You showing up late, drunk, disheveled, can't remember shit, don't know how to talk, can't communicate or nothing else. Like, no, I don't, that's not the example by which I want to be measured. I don't want to be a part of that at all. So the three reasons are people don't see themselves as a leader, others don't see that person as a leader, and it's not clear or defined what is the example that you want us to follow. Now, what is interesting is that when I researched this morning, it was difficult to find lead by example, why not? There literally were articles on why it doesn't work, And one of the main articles, or the article, the ideology behind it that kept popping up was, well, if you charge up a hill, you got to bring people with you, and if you're going too fast, people can't follow along with you. That's not lead by example. So once again, and it was very difficult. Most of the articles were coming from Medium and LinkedIn. Wasn't even like a university was saying this thing. So this topic isn't even something that's really Googleable with some tangible information. So the whole thing is, don't do it. You can't lead by example because everybody operates at a different level. And what I call that is the Chris Henry effect. And I've said this story before, but it's worth mentioning again. When I first started at Frito-Lay, because they had so many managers they hired at once, they made all the JMOs, the junior military officers, we were shift managers. So I was over second shift. I forgot the other gentleman's name. He was over first shift, third shift, and then someone else was over first shift. So we're managing the plant on that shift. So you're talking manufacturing, warehouse, and traffic. So everything that's coming in and going out, we were the people in charge of that. So I went to the manufacturing manager, and his name was Chris Henry. You probably can Google him. It's a bunch of Chris Henry, so you won't know it's him. Anyway, I go in his office and I say, hey, Chris, just wanted to let you know that everybody's not operating at a top level. I'm still Captain Thomas. I'm coming in pristine, shine boots, shirt tucked in, Gerber on my thing and everything. And he tells me, Donna, everybody can't operate at 100%, and 70 is passing. Excuse me, what? You said 70 is passing. The 70 is good. No. You don't understand what I'm saying. If everybody's working at 100%, then a lot of this would go away. And there was that 30% gap. So if you have somebody giving 100 and somebody giving 70, there's a 30% gap there. He said, nope, don't worry about it. 70% is passing. Well, Frito-Lay said, worry about it, Chris. And not soon after that, he got fired and left the company, went start his own business, and they put Tom Rayo in, who's doing great in the company. I looked him up the other day. He off going to do a VP, blah, 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 the blah, blah, PepsiCo operations and all of that. But PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, felt differently. And so what I call that now is the Chris Henry effect. And so that means that unaccountable people are operating at 70%. And that's the best it's going to be. That's it. If you got somebody operating at 70%, they think they are cooking on all cylinders. They're like, yes, I am the business. I am the shiz naive. No, you're not. Because there is a 30% gap that needs to be closed by somebody. And who is usually the person closing the gap? The personally accountable person is now working at 130%, while the Chris Henrys of the world are chilling. They are chilling. They are not leading by example. They are in positions of power and authority, and they are delegating that other 30% to the peons and the peasants of the world, dangling a carrot. This is extra opportunity for you. This is a growth opportunity. This is a way for you to prove yourself. And then as soon as you do it, they take credit for it, and you are still operating at 130%, and they are still operating at 70%. And that is why people can't lead by example. That is the issue, is we can't get folk to 100%. Because 100% day in and day out is hard as hell unless you develop new neural pathways. Unless you create new neural pathways, your brain is atrophied and it can't get to 100% as it is currently designed. If you are hardwired for negativity bias and now you're looking for manufactured dopamine and everything else, you ain't never going to get to it. You're never, ever, ever going to get to 100%, so you can't lead by example. So none of these things are possible for you to be able to do. And that's unfortunate. Have no fear, because the principles of real leadership are here. So before I go into how to lead by examples, what questions do you have? And yes, you need to have questions. And please don't tell me that I made it abundantly clear. That's not going to work, because ask questions is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And it is going to start wiring that neural pathway for you to start asking questions here in this nice little calm environment where I'm going to have the answer. So that will help you out in the world where the unaccountables reside to ask more effective questions so you can get what you need from them in order for you to become your best. So go ahead at this time. I am accepting questions on the definition of lead by example, on why it's difficult for people to lead by example, and the Chris Henry effect. And I believe I said good morning, Sabrina, but if I did not, good morning. I think I need to go down slightly. There we go. My feet can be flat on the ground. And remember, you're thinking, so ... on your question, just so I know that everything is functioning on YouTube on both our parts. And I forgot to say that we are in leader-led now on the 74 principles of real leadership. Lead by example is number 1. Leaders are created. And we actually had that question in Dr. D.O. Gibson's class in 10th grade when she asked us that question when I was in ROTC. She asked us, interestingly enough, on Wednesday when we had our uniform on. And so leaders are actually created. And some people would say natural born leader. I don't know that that's true. And the reason why is because the skills of a leader are, yes, the skills of a leader have to be learned. So it's almost as if you have to learn how to drive. So it's something that you have to learn how to do. You don't naturally come here and know how to communicate effectively, be well. You don't know how to get a group of people organized and empower them to go in the right direction without fear and have to earn the respect. So you have to learn those skill sets. And because there's so many different leadership styles, what happens is you find that you're seeing which one works best for you. And sometimes it's a combination of a multitude of different leadership styles. As we know, my doctorate, I did it on Robert Northouse path goal theory. And I believe that it is situationally dependent what it is that you may have to do. Sometimes it could be servant leadership. Sometimes it can be transformational. But you are deciding what type of leader you're going to be based upon personality types, experiences, economic status, background, education, all of that. And it is ever evolving. I was a very yelling, demeaning, in your face, I wish I was back in the day. And I have transformed what some believe would argue, no, you didn't. But it's a much more kinder, gentler understanding of it. So definitely you need the neural pathways to wire your brain to leadership. Now, what some people often confuse is charisma and being able to communicate effectively with people. It appears that that is leadership. But when you think about what leaders have to do, leaders have to be forward thinking. Leaders have to lead and manage. Leaders have to empower others. Leaders have to delegate. They have to handle conflict when it occurs. They have to listen and ask questions. Those are things that you aren't naturally born to do. So yes, leaders are made and not born. And please let me know if I've answered your question, Kevin. Okay. Sabrina, I work in an environment and the senior leadership is appointed and changes every 5 years. I find that lower level staff want to get the feedback instead of being focused on the permanent staff. I find that lower level staff want to get the feedback instead of being focused on the permanent staff. So let me see, did you say want the feedback from the temporary leaders instead of the permanent staff? And I'm trying to understand why, as they have to perform with whomever is in charge. Okay, what's happening with that is, thank you, Kevin. What's happening with that, I know what you're saying, Sabrina. So you're saying the leadership changes because they're appointed. I think you're talking about the SES people. So they're appointed by somebody else. And everybody else is going to be there forever. So you have this change in leadership every 5 years, but you could potentially be in that position until you retire. So why does the staff want to get the feedback from the other person? And it is because of that's the culture in which you work in. So I'll give you an example and I'll use, yes. So I'll give you an example at Frito-Lay at the manufacturing plant. So at the manufacturing plant, they have the leadership team, which is the Chris Henry's, the plant manager. Then you have the technical manager, you have the planning manager, and then you have HR. They make up the leadership team. Those roles rotate because people come into them, check the box, and get promoted to the next position because everybody is there at the plant trying to get to band 1, band 2 to get the headquarters jobs and then move from Frito-Lay to PepsiCo, Quaker, and all of that. So those jobs rotate, and they rotate every 2 to 3 years. Now, some of the people stayed in those jobs and retired, but for the most part, in every manufacturing site, people know that that position is going to change. And everybody else lives in Florida. So some of the management, the mid-level management positions that I was in, we might have changed. Most of those people are still there, and obviously the hourly employees got their retired, vested, and all of that. But what happens is the culture says this person was blessed off by the powers that be, so they must be the shiz naive. So let me kiss their butt just in case I decide I'm going to leave. I have it in with somebody who's already been appointed and anointed by the powers that be. So let me go ahead and be a sycophant and a brown noser and an apple polisher. And so I can go ahead and suck up to them just in case. So I'm going to give you an example. Barbara Rodgers, Rogers, not Rodgers. She was a shit starter for real, holy, sanctified, filled with Jesus, hallelujah, wearing skirts to work and everything. She had been at that company when I got there 30-something years. And Bob Crane, who started with her, ended up being the region vice president. So every time he came to visit, who do you think he went to go see first? Barbara Rodgers, right? And whatever she said, he went, and what her word was gospel. So she could get anything that she wanted done in that damn plant, because she knew when Bob Crane was coming, he was putting a hairnet on, taking his ass down on that floor while she's sitting in multi-pack packing, and he was going to tell her exactly, she was going to tell him everything, and then he was going to say thank you very much for being the ops, right? So I pissed Barbara Rodgers off, because what I did was I held Bo responsible and accountable, and he decided he was going to try to push me off the second level of the pick belt while I was pregnant. That didn't go well. So then I went out on FMLA, and Bo decides, oh, I know what to do to get Donna fired. We're going to start a union. So that pisses Barbara Rodgers off. And who does she call? Bob Crane. By the time I get back from maternity leave, I am damn near 1 in away from getting fired. And I said, oh, you want to start a war? You picked the wrong one, lady. Okay. And next thing you know, I stopped speaking to her. Next thing you know, I'm on national teams in the company and everything else. And she trying to be my friend again. No. Because you was advocating for me to get fired while I was on maternity leave trying to get Miss Nola here with no damn problems. So that is why they are doing it. Okay. They are doing it so they know they stand. And they know that other person is leaving. And they want that relationship. So yes, insane. So they want that relationship just in case they need to call Bob Crane. So whoever your person is, and whoever that other person is, just think of Barbara Rodgers and Bo and Bob Crane, because they know they're not leaving, and they staying, and they want to make sure they stay and they get everything they want. So that's why that's actually taking place. And people that's getting appointed love a sycophant. A doggone unaccountable superiority complex person sitting in a position of power and authority loves a sycophant. Thank you for and I'm going to reward you more and more. You just keep it up. You just tell me everything, okay? Got you a nice little op sitting right there in multi-pack. So that is why that is taking place. Okay, and Nola, you said, and Regina, if you have a question, I didn't see it. Okay, Nola's question is, do you think people do more of what you say or do more of what they see you do? Like, is it more effective to tell someone the behavior to have, or to have them watching you do it makes them do it? People actually, and this is true for parents, the children are watching what you do. It doesn't matter what you say, because the behavior is what people are going to pick up on. So that's why I say listen to what people do, because you will pick up. I am now 52 years old. When my mother was my age, she used to drink Perrier water. And I used to like, ugh, I ain't never drinking that shit. That shit nasty. Why would you? And what do I have in the refrigerator right now? Pellegrino. Sitting in the refrigerator. What do I have? I'm like, she always put damn Vaseline on her lips. What I'm doing? She always putting cocoa butter on her damn face. What I'm doing? Shea buttering. Shea butter everywhere. So the behavior, now I didn't pick up the crack and the liquor and marrying the perv. I didn't pick that part up. But the other things I did pick up. Okay? So yes, people listen to what you do. Okay? If I tell y'all, hold yourself personally accountable every day. And every day y'all waiting. And I'm like, and be timely. And every day, y'all wait 15 to 20 minutes for me to come on this live. What you gonna pick up on? I'm late. And I'm saying, stay on time. Be on time. Be timely. Be timely. And it's 5:47. And here I come. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Yeah, I was on the phone talking to one of my friends. We had a good time. Oh, okay. Y'all ready to learn? Y'all ready to learn? No. Y'all are learning how to be personally accountable because you see me being personally accountable. You see it. So it's obvious. This is what personal accountability looks like. When you send me an email, I respond. It is not some auto MailChimp thing that's been sent to you. Like, oh, that's the autoresponder. That's the autoresponder. Sometimes I say something short, and then sometimes you're like, damn, she really had a lot of time today. Because look at this response. So the point is, people listen to what you do. You have picked up on all my mannerisms. We so much the same. When we get in the car, we both get in the car exactly the same way. You spend enough time with somebody, you're going to start looking like them and acting like them, which might be a good thing and it might be a bad thing. So you could you can walk the walk, or you can talk the walk. And talking the walk means ain't nobody going to listen to shit you saying. And they just going to pick up on your doggone bad habits. And that's why we have 6.8 billion unaccountable people in the world, because of negativity bias. We are listening to what people do and we are mirroring that. Okay. Sabrina, you said thank you. I will have to catch the rest on the replay. Have a great day. You too. All right. Kevin's question. Question is underneath Kevin's. Okay, let me go see it. I apologize. There we go. I apologize, Regina. I needed to scroll up some more. Okay, what happens when you are leading by example and people still don't perceive you as a leader? How do you change that perception? That is where you develop a command presence. And so a command presence, people think, and when I thought this as well, when I was in ROTC and junior ROTC, I thought what being a leader meant, because at that point you had shows like the 18, which is one of my favorite shows, and MASH and all these other things. Leadership meant shut up. Saving Private Benjamin came out, be quiet. And so people were not listening to me. And they weren't following me, and that's why I got demoted, because I wasn't using tact and I didn't know what to do. So what happens is you have to be, your personality is located here in the frontal lobe, and you actually have to be your 100% authentic self. If I came over here fake as a $4 bill with my face on, hi, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Dr. Donna. I'm in charge. You're not following me, because you can pick up on the fear, you can pick up on the lack of confidence and everything else. So that's why you have to fix you first. You have to see yourself as the CEO of Me Incorporated. And then from there, people will automatically, that energy is going to shift, but it takes time. So I will use Nola myself as an example. When she first started her business, I'm showing up the door. She's hiding behind me. I got to move and say, she's the one you have the appointment with. And we had to work on that. And now people have no problem. We just went back to a reoccurring client and was deciding where they had some work done on their pool and getting new umbrellas and things. And so they were asking, he said, well, Nola, what do you think? And she said, well, let's put it over here. So if it makes sense. Now, if it's feng shui off, I'm going to intervene. But even with, she was doing a bed, talked to the client's dad, and they said the client wanted the bed one way. And she said, we decided the bed should go this way. The client gave Nola a high five. Then I come in the house. It made sense to put the bed there. So it is an evolutionary process of you fixing you first, then holding yourself personally accountable. And that personal accountability that you have is where you're going to get your command presence from. And then people will know, okay, yeah, you're in charge, you're responsible, and I trust you. So there could be a lack of trust there and a lack of respect. So trust and respect are earned and given. And if that isn't taking place, then you have to assess, well, people must not trust me and people must not respect me. Now, there's going to be a group of people, because of their biases, that is just never going to work with. And that's okay, because that's their bias. And you can just have conversations, and in time, you can understand where the gaps are. And that's why asking questions works effectively. Because when I was in Korea, and I told this story, the 10 Katusa soldiers that I had, they said, you woman, we don't listen to you, because they never had a female commander for them. Now, Tawanda Williams was in 2nd platoon, but we were different. And so she was okay with going to the Katusa sergeant of the platoon and talking. I'm like, listen, you are in the U.S. Army right now. I'm in charge. You're going to listen to me. So that shocked everybody. So one of them decided they weren't going to listen to me. I went to Rock Sergeant Major. They stood outside in full gear in the rain. And then magically, people started listening to me. So sometimes you got to use a different level of force and understanding if someone is being a recalcitrant or being rebellious, now you have to elevate your level. And then if you put your foot down and you pick it back up, and put your foot down and pick it back up, those are all reasons as well. But for the most part, when you have an actual command presence on your own, then that resonates with people. So it's not a matter of fear, it's a matter of respect and mutual respect, as well as trust is involved too. So let me know if I've answered your question, Regina. Can y'all hear the birds chirping? They're up now because the sun is coming up. Yes, question answer. Interesting dynamic between mutual respect. Yes, ma'am, it is. Okay, so how do you lead by example? Again, no no value added information on internet. Imagine that. And I thought about the question this morning as well. And I'm going to go over some of the 74 principles of real leadership. But the real answer is you implement all 74 principles of real leadership and you're going to lead by example. All 74 of them, to include lead by example, is how you actually lead by example. Because at some point, one of those principles is going to be necessary. Yesterday, we talked about smile and laugh often, went through all of those, captioned this, and that's still a principle of real leadership. And that's a way to lead by example because it shows that you can smile and have a good time. I was scrolling through TikTok yesterday and I saw a speech that President Obama was doing, and we had Key Appeal behind him as Luther, his translator, and he's saying it, and Luther's doing all of that, and President Obama is keeping a straight face while all of these antics are happening around him. That's the example of laugh, have fun, and smile often. So you will find yourself using all 74 principles of real leadership. But the ones that I'd like to bring to your attention this morning, number one, become the CEO of Me Incorporated. None of this works if you are not seeing yourself as, at a minimum, I am the CEO of Me Incorporated. But the other ones are hold yourself and others personally accountable. That is the number one principle of real leadership. If you don't do that, nothing else is going to be sustainable. Set and maintain high standards. Be honest, as I mentioned when I was just talking to Regina. I think I said that. If not, I meant to say it. And then establish trust and be trustworthy. Apologize when you are wrong. We just went over that. Listen. Got to be able to listen. Definitely have to be able to listen. Ask questions. If you don't know, ask. Communicate effectively, which I believe that I do a very good job of communicating effectively so that you can understand the importance. I'm not just talking, I'm communicating effectively so that you can understand what I'm saying and you can apply it instantly to your life and your day. Reprimand privately. Captain Gaylord did a terrible job of that. Reward openly. Believe in yourself. And as I mentioned with you, Regina, when you have the command presence, when you've done the work and you believe in yourself, other people begin to believe in you as well. Be a thermostat, not a thermometer. Handle conflict when it occurs. That is the biggest mistake that I see people in positions of power and authority doing, ignoring conflict or delegating it out for someone else to fix it. That's not how that works. If you are in charge and you are responsible, and as I mentioned, my family, when I was growing up and I became an officer, they told me I don't do any work. And I said, okay, let something happen. First person getting relieved of command is the officer in charge. So definitely handle conflict when it occurs. Treat people with dignity and respect. Exercise tact, which we finally found out the difference between polite tact and political correctness last week. Be objective, be fair, be the best, delegate, and embrace diversity. So I believe that these principles of real leadership are at the core of lead by example, but I know in totality, you need to be using all 74 principles of real leadership. So what questions do you have? Meaning have a question. I just say what questions do you have because I learned to do that at Frito-Lay when I was going to be a CIMT, Continuous Improvement Master Training, because it's an open-ended question. As opposed to, y'all have any questions? You say, nope, no questions. And that's the end of that. But it creates a dialogue when you say, what questions do you have? So what questions do you have about how to lead by example. No, that stays there. Allergy season, my nose is itching. Nose is itching. That's bothering my ear. Okay, great. All right. Sycophant is a word that I learned in 11th grade English with Miss Dasgupta, and it's basically an ass kisser, an apple polisher, and a brown noser. So a suck up. Yes, if you saw the movie 9 to 5, Mr. Hart's executive administrator, Rose, she was a simp and an op, always in the bathroom telling on somebody. So Barbara Rodgers was a sycophant. And every superior person with a superiority complex has a sycophant running behind them. Oh, but you got to have a question, Nola. Ask questions. Get that new neural pathway going. Regina, Kevin said, don't try to take his position. He is the one that asked about the words. Of course, he just kept like, hold up. I'm the one that asked about doggone words over here. I actually have a post. So you rather be a sycophant? Then I just leave it at that. It's a so you rather. Dun, dun, dun. Well, just tell us what the question was, though, Nola, just so we know what the question was, because I say a lot. So if you just say my question was, then I'll know what the actual question was. Part of when you ask questions, it helps me to go seek out more information in the event that I do not have the answer. So asking a question gives me, remember, I get a serotonin boost when I answer the question. So when you ask me the question, we're having a neurological exchange. Or a hormonal exchange. Do you have a favorite leadership principle? You know, I thought about that the other day, Kevin, and I actually don't. Because I used to think that it was hold yourself and others personally accountable. If I had to pick, pew pew to my head, I would say communicate effectively. If I had to pick, you got to pick one, Dr. Donna, it would be communicate effectively. And the reason why I say that is because people think because they're talking that they actually are communicating, and they're not. And I think because I didn't really communicate for the first 11 years of my life, because let's face it was a very toxic environment. But it is something that I was not good at, and now something that I am phenomenal at, but I had to work at it the most. 100% had to. It was there's a reason why I have 5 communication certifications and 3 degrees in leadership and all these other things. Always putting myself up in front of an audience and being able to take this very dense material and give it to you in a way that's easily understood. Did it in the Army, did it at Frito-Lay, I'm doing it now with the brain. So I would say communicate effectively. You answered it already. Do people do what you do or say? Got it. Okay. All right. with that being said, we are going to go to the social media platform, not social media platform, social media page. Come on, tablet. You're going to go to the YouTube channel. It's always interesting that we're there. And we're there. And when I go there, it tells me that I'm live. So what you're going to do is the third one in on the playlist, personal accountability. So this is the main personal accountability playlist, not the one that you are using in PA challenges. Those are other playlists, but this is the one that I contribute to on the daily basis until I get to 365 of them. And then I will move on and do something else. So when you're there, let me know. You are at the YouTube channel on the home page. The personal accountability playlist is the first playlist under the live right now. As it says, we are live. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the 74 Principles of Real Leadership playlist. So it is there. And when you are there, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. I am a contralto on a good day, and on a bad day, I am a bass. Probably a tenor. They used to have me singing with the tenors when I was an alto in middle school. My voice been this deep a very long time. They used to stand me in Glee Club. I would be the girl right next to the boy. And yeah, so some songs I was helping the tenors out, and then some songs I was helping the altos out. No one knew. Because their voices were, some of their voices hadn't changed yet, and mine did. That's funny. Okay, Nola, are you there? The personal accountability playlist on, and thank you for putting season in there. I see that now. All right, you will be listening to the third PA there, pencil. Pencil. It is 2 minutes and 39 seconds. And after you finish listening to it, go ahead and type ... so that I know that you have finished listening to it. And now you are going to type up whatever resonates, comes up for you. You are listening to pencil. It is 2 minutes and 39 seconds. And what is this? Coffee. Be well. My poor nose. All right, Kevin. When I started attending your lives, I was listening and laying in bed. When I decided this is where I wanted to be every morning, I purchased school supplies and moved into my office. Well, all right. Well, that's awesome. Can I put that on my website? No, I don't put testimonials on the website no more. No, that is awesome. Amazing. You're like, hold up. This is where I need to be. Regina, first, what an interesting use of the word pencil. Second, I really had to think about what you were saying. Third, I've acknowledged that I'm a work in progress. The area fluctuates is being organized. And you have more. And I. No. No, I am actively pursuing my personal accountability. Yes, you are. I was so happy when Anita Baker came out, especially since she's from Detroit, because she sang in my level. It's like, I can't. Mm-mm. Okay, and while Regina is typing up the rest of hers, what did you do? Because she wasn't here yesterday. So, Kevin and Nola, what did you do yesterday to laugh and smile often? Mm-mm. Mhm. Mhm. You did your first wrist challenge. Yes, you did. You had a rabbit head on. And now that your video is done, Kevin, I'd like to tell you that most people that sign up for the wrist challenge um don't make it to the first video. So congratulations. Well, I'm gonna tell you that until you made your first video. It don't matter how much they did before, that doggone wrist challenge will take everybody out. It is definitely yes. Regina, the area that I fluctuate in most is staying organized. I could constantly monitor myself because in order to get things done, I must be organized. This has been an ongoing challenge, but I have improved tremendously. And Nola said I saw some funny clips on TikTok. Okay, great. So the last two questions for you today to answer are what did you learn today and what did you learn about yourself today? And again, those two questions are designed to develop the neural pathways to the expectation that you wake up and before you go to sleep, you must have learned something. And the second one is that because of self-reflection, it is personal accountability, that you will also have learned something about yourself. And that's where you build the confidence and the competence to continuously hold yourself personally accountable. So what did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself? And the principle of real leadership that you will be using today, if applicable, is to lead by example. And I always say I'm the standard by which excellence is measured. I was saying that way back in ROTC, college ROTC, when people didn't believe it. Like, not you, Thomas. We got so many more people who are regular Army, EID, tabbed out, Jump Master, all of that. And Lola said, every day I go home and watch funny things on TV. I watched Friday, I think maybe a week ago, because I hadn't seen it in years. And that doggone scene, when they come back from the store and Chris Tucker is trying to stop that Pinto with his foot, that thing had me dying. I was like, just the sheer, I know they were on set dying with him trying to get out. And then he, boop, boop, like no one is still in that car, okay? I'm sure they had better options than his souped up Pinto. Today I learned to listen to what people do. It is amazing. Give them 90 days and listen to what they do, and you gonna know who they are or who they is. Yep. I hired somebody that worked at Macy's. It was Hudson's, Dayton Hudson's, and then Macy's. He was in the furniture department when I interviewed him. I was like, but you got to pull these 4 carts around the warehouse. It's 55,000 square foot warehouse. You get tired. I could do it. I could do it. I'm telling you, I could do it. I could do it. I promise you. You hire me, I could do it. He made it to lunch on the first day and stood at that time clock and he said, I know what I told you, Donna, but this work is hard. And he's a big buff guy too. And he saw the little Jerry Lynn and other women pulling those carts, and Marcus was probably my size, thought he could do it. He made it to lunch. So yes, listen to what people do and don't do. That's gonna tell you the truth. Noah said, I learned that people listen to what I do, so focus on exhibiting good behaviors. Yes, they definitely do. Walk the walk. Especially if you go against their conformity bias and their confirmation bias, their measurement for you becomes even harder, even stronger. I learned that there are many reasons why leading by example is difficult. Yes, difficult, but not impossible. And the other thing too is if people don't believe that you should be in that leadership position, then everything that you do will be under a microscope. And the slightest, if you sneeze and don't blow your nose in a tissue and use hand sanitizer, she is just, oh my God, that is just disgraceful. Did you see her when she sneezed? And it will, the smallest the smallest infraction will be made really, really big. And then what did you learn about yourself? And then Lola, you said by listening to people, they tell on themselves. Yes. They will. That's why I'm always checking. Wait, what did I say? What did I, is this? At this point, y'all would know if I wasn't walking the walk. Because today is number 526 days live consecutively. 526 days. Kevin, myself, I've had no arguments with people in 2 months. Whoa! Go ahead. That's awesome. That is amazing. Hey, I hear there's a great boba shop near where you live. You should go check it out and get some ice cream. Treat yourself. I know the owner. I'll see if he gives you a discount. Yeah. Looked really good online. He did a video the other day. I think my mouth watered slightly. So I think you should go check it out. Email me if you want the address. They might have a coupon or something. Treat yourself today. That's amazing, Kevin. All right, Regina. I will hook you up. No pun intended, right? Okay. Myself, that's Kevin's. Okay, Regina. I will continue to be my authentic self and pat myself on the back. I have made effort to stay in my frontal lobe during moments of stress. Go ahead, pat yourself on the back. It's harder for my right arm because I injured my shoulder. Okay. Kevin, where's your link for your boba shop? It's a cool video on his TikTok page, Regina, of him actually making the ice cream. How they do it and everything is in a waffle cone. It was very nice. Nola said, I learned that since I have been holding myself personally accountable, I have been better at leading by example. I agree 1000% on a scale of 1 to 2 with you on that one, Nola. Yes, I do. 1000%. Here's the final thing that I would say. Oh, Regina, you will love this because they have these free magazines everywhere in Las Vegas. And you just go into the coffee shop, wherever, and everybody has a quarterly magazine that they give out. And so this one is the Desert Companion, but it was a 2-series thing. But I opened it up, and right here, as a former educator, retired educator, Regina, our library district was offering homework help for the students from teachers in the Clark County School District. And it was tutoring, it still is tutoring available Monday through Thursday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. through May 2nd. No appointments needed. And they found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 libraries located throughout Clark County School District for this homework help. Now, how cool is that? For free. I love our library here. They just have so many resources. And they put one thing about living in Las Vegas. You can see where your tax dollars are going, your sales tax dollars and property tax dollars are going. Because, yes, Kevin has a TikTok page. You should go see it. He's doing his rehab of his houses. He just started doing his turnaround risk videos. Yes, so they are working miracles over there for sure. But yeah, so Regina, they're definitely here doing a lot in the Clark County School District with the libraries. And I thought that's amazing that they're offering free tutoring from teachers in multiple subjects up until May 2nd. So that's pretty cool. Just saw that while you all were watching Pencil. Okay, so the final. Yes, they do so much. Literally, and I've lived in Alabama, Tennessee, Michigan, and Florida, as well as here. By far the best parks and recreations, as well as the library. And you can go everywhere, and the parks are doing great. Everything. So you actually can see the roads improvements. Nobody's like, where the money going? Where's the money at? You can actually see where the money is actually going. Okay, so the final thing that I will say before I get out of here is this. I thought about some comments happened on TikTok, on somebody's TikTok. I'm not going to mention that because, unaccountable people be unaccountable and then. But here's the thing. If anybody is wondering, and I've said why I've chosen to talk about the good stock that I come from and not do that negative narrative, and why have I chosen the males in the family instead of the females, and why is that taking place? And here is the reason why. Everybody talks about John D. Rockefeller and the Rockefeller Center and the Rockefellers this and the Rockefellers that and all of the Rockefellers. But nobody, very few people, and Kevin, you might know the story because of the man who built America, but John D. Rockefeller was the second oldest. He's not junior. His father was a drunk, and his father came home in a drunken stupor and came home with the whole family sleep. John D. wakes up, drunk daddy shows up and comes and takes all the money out of the house and leaves again and never comes back and leaves the family destitute. And so John D. Rockefeller made the promise that the Rockefeller name would mean something different. And now here we are over 100 years later, and that name means something different. Has it had its ups and downs? Absolutely. So has the Kennedy name. And so the reason why I have chosen the masculine side to introduce myself is because that's the side that got a bad rap. That's the side that ain't nobody proud of. If you look at my daddy, Leslie, and you look at Harvey Rogers, my ex-husband, those last names on their own don't mean shit. I put them two together and they have power. They have immense power. So I'm choosing to have a generational shift. And in order for that to occur, I have to look at what didn't go well, what didn't happen. And as a result, you got to change the narrative. And in order to change the narrative, you can't let that shame stop you. People use shame as a weapon. My mother for years used my daddy and him being a drunk and him hitting her and everything as a reason for me to never find out. I found out during planning his funeral that I'm his twin. 19 years old, 20 years old. And that's when I found out. People say, you look just like your daddy. I'm like, no, I don't. Y'all see him? I don't look. And I did. So I never saw a picture of him younger or anything. It was after he was gone. And I'm like, I look exactly like this man. You got to be kidding me. So my choice to not only say it and say it every single day and introduce myself that way is to change the narrative. I have spent too many years saying I come from a long line of druggies and alcoholics, and it's time for me to stop that because that isn't personally accountable. It all is doing is feeding the negativity bias, and I'm done with that. So I choose, and now that I know that I'm 8% Welsh, I'm going to go get the crown jewels at some point. So no, just kidding with that part. But the point is, I'm choosing to change the narrative. Let it end and begin with me. So I'm ending it and I'm beginning a new narrative. That is also true because people are 50% bad and 50% good, and there's good in everybody and there's bad in everybody, and that's the reality of the situation. So I am choosing to change the narrative as John D. Rockefeller chose, and he was a teetotaler. He didn't drink because daddy was drunk. Same thing. So I'm breaking up all of these curses and, well, we can't do that. And, they did this and, it was a Rolling Stone and all these other things. Okay, cool. But at some point, people thought that these people were positive people. My mother married him, so she saw something in him. My grandmother married him, and my great-grandmother married Levi. So at some point, somebody saw an inkling of something of a glimmer, and it's up to me to take that and turn that into something that actually matters and that actually has value. Why should I perpetuate and keep saying the same things that's been said when I know that it's the direct result of negativity bias? So I will not be buying into that. So I feel compelled to give that information today so that you understand I am saying I come from a good lot. It's genetics. How am I the baddest motherfucker walking around on the face of the planet Earth and only 50% of it is responsible for it? No, all of it is responsible for it. My first name is my mother's name. I say her name often. And so I did justice to the name Donna and then Thomas and then Thomas-Rodgers. And now I owe it to my ancestors. I don't know what they had to endure. I don't know what led them all to Detroit to meet up to somehow make it possible for me to be here, but I am here. And I do owe it that they did come together and somehow I made it to almost soon to be 52. So I have to own all of that. Why should I just own the negative part and not own the positive part? If other people can say, here's my great granddaddy and legacy, and then I'm not going to do that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I come from Levi Thomas and Meredith Bloman. And again, 5 out of the 8 ain't bad when everybody was, don't talk about that, don't talk about that. I'm doing grand to know that much. because of how old I am. I mean, people coming behind me will be able to know because of Google and all this other stuff, but that stuff ain't even public records. So I will not let that shame stop me from claiming the greatness and grandeur that is me. So yes, I'm gonna keep saying it. And anybody that got a problem with it, I don't really care. I don't really care. I like how I feel when I say I'm Levi's great granddaughter. I wish a motherfucker would. What? Excuse me? I don't think so. It gives me a strength that surpasses all understanding to know I come from a good lot. Why would I keep saying that? Why? That's easy to do. But to say no and to stand on it when no one else is doing it, my daddy didn't have sons. I'm it. That's it. It's me. So here you have it. There you go. And the other man on the Evelyn side and the Loman side ain't stood up for shit. So somebody got to say, this is what this families and these families represent. And that person is me. So yes, it is not women, feminism and all of that. No, these men got a bad rap and continue to get a bad rap, and no one is changing it, male or female. And so I have decided that I'm going to be the one to change it. So I will be standing on this until the day after I'm no longer here. That's what I'm going to do, 100%. And I'm not telling you that you need to do it. I'm telling you why I made the decision to do it and will continue to make that decision. It gives me power that you can't imagine. Being in the military, everybody knows who their lineage is and everything else. And I'm sitting here, not even, they're like, my grandfather was in World War II. And I'm not remembering my damn granddaddy was in World War II. Why didn't that register at that time? Because we didn't talk about it. So I was like, dang, granddaddy was in World War II. I was like, man, daddy was in Vietnam. I said, oh, okay. My daddy got a doggone bad conduct discharge. He didn't serve in Vietnam. He had a BCD, and I still don't know why he got kicked out, but he did. So now I got to make sure I'm rectifying all that and changing all of that, change that narrative, while I still have the ability to be able to do those things. So yes, I will continue to do that. That's what I learned today. I went back over reflecting and no, I'm introducing myself like that because I'm 8% Welsh, and that's what the Welsh people royalty do. They introduce their lineage so people know who they're talking to. And I'm doing that from the 4 or 5 days ago until the day after I'm no longer here. So thank you for your time today. Again, you are leading by example today with your principle of real leadership. Thank you for taking the time for yourself to learn more about yourself and this thing that we call neuropability. I will be back tomorrow, same time. Higher power, God, and the universe willing. I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, same face, different t-shirt. You all go off and have a magnificent Monday.